Hey guys, this is Panzer Oceania here. I was looking at Racket Boy's Twitter feed yesterday, and I saw his post that linked to the topic about which joystick is best for each video game system. So I thought I'd make a little video about it. The two main joystick and gamepad brands I follow are Hori and ASCII. I mean, of course, I follow Nintendo, Sega, Sony also, but I'm probably going to be focusing mostly on Hori and ASCII sticks. Right here at first. I'm going to start with the Nintendo NES. So I heard the NES Advantage mentioned, so I thought I'd just go over it real quick. I think this is a great stick, really great buttons, slick design, good joystick. I really like its heft and its weight. It's got a nice thick metal plate on the back, and also just kind of a wide, thick design. So it definitely holds down on a table really well. As far as a stick from its generation. And it's also got a lot of features. I don't care so much about them, but I like how they can have a lot of features without it looking too messy or all over the place. Like some joysticks, they just have buttons everywhere. This keeps stuff out of your way. I did notice the original poster felt like it was probably a little bit too cramped, and I can definitely understand that. These sticks are probably made for an audience with smaller hands, you know, a Japanese audience, primarily children. I mean, even the one in the US, probably primarily children, some teenagers. And also the joysticks for home consoles at this point in time are probably fairly new, so they weren't going to be spending a lot of money on it. They're kind of keep costs down, keep them for kids. I do remember this being a big deal when I was a kid, though. Just like I remember the buttons seemed so much bigger and the whole thing seemed huge. But now, of course, it doesn't. I still think it works fine for adults, but I can understand how it'll feel cramped, especially if you're trying to use it for lap play. I can understand it feeling pretty cramped. Overall, still a good stick, but one interesting thing about the Nintendo NES Advantage, marketed, branded, and licensed by Nintendo in the US, is actually based off an ASCII line of sticks. So let me look at one or two of those. Right here we have the ASCII stick Turbo Junior, and the Junior, it has this gray-blue slick body here with the yellow buttons and the yellow stick. I really think this is a cool looking stick. It's just also got cool designs here, just good colors, good designs. If the NES Advantage isn't really working for you though, this one probably isn't going to do it for you either. It's pretty similar, as you can see. These buttons are slightly smaller and softer. These are a little bit more snappy, but they're also deeper, so sometimes they can get stuck, like that. The dials are just slightly moved up and smaller here. Start and select over here on that one, over here on this one. This one does have a metal back plate too, but it's not quite as hefty as the NES Advantage. That's definitely a plus for the Advantage. It's a little more hefty. Overall, the frames are pretty much the same. It's pretty much just a color preference choice. Also, this uses the Famicom expansion port, and that's because the original Famicoms, their controller 1 and 2 were hardwired to the system, so there wasn't a controller 1 and 2 controller port. There was just this expansion port on the side, and this is what you use to plug in your joystick. So that's one thing to keep in mind. With most systems, any controller works from any region. You can just buy it and plug it into your system, but that's one thing to keep in mind if you're going to be buying a Japanese controller, a joystick, for the Famicom or NES, is that you cannot just plug this directly into your NES. You'd need an adapter, or you would need a Japanese Famicom. But it's still a really nice stick. So you're probably wondering, well, okay, well, what about Hori then? Hori's a good brand these days. They make the Hori Real Arcade Pro joysticks. So we do have a Hori stick here. This is the Joystick 7 Mark II. I don't have the Mark I with me. I'm getting one in the mail. It's got more of a classic red Famicom design. Kind of fits more with the original Famicom. This one's black body, yellow buttons. I'm a huge Hori fan, so that's why I got this stick. It's not really a great stick for play though. The buttons are super soft. I mean, they register, but it's just not a good feeling. They also just got this weird design. I mean, I'm all for new designs. But it just doesn't really work very well. The joystick, this one in particular, actually clicks. It's not micro switches you're hearing. It's just more of a grinding noise. That might just be this model in particular has a defect, just this one that I have. Not all Joystick 7s have, but even still, the base is very small. It's not very heavy. You have nowhere to really rest your hands. It's not really good for lap play.